What's up? I'm Ayla.
Hi, I'm Beth Ann.
And this is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday, Series Sunday, the day of the week where we dress up in the most ridiculous outfits and you have to be entertained. We're going to talk all about one series only, chock full of spoilers. So if you have not watched this show, go watch it because I too took a minute to watch this show because we didn't get it as international fans.
Correct.
It was
right?
it was
a
hyped.
late
We were
release.
excited.
So excited.
And then we waited.
Right.
And we waited.
Right.
And then it came out and 30 other things came out.
Yes.
So if you haven't guessed by our outfits, we're talking Love Stage. I love this.
Here's the thing. If you're not watching, if you're only listening, what we should explain to you is that I am wearing my actual wedding dress. One of two, actually. It's kind of a shame that like my ceremony dress is not here at the place where we live.
Yeah.
Because my ceremony dress is like way better. It's like way like dress. Like
Cheers.
it's like it's a dress. But
we have sparkling water and champagne flute.
I'm extra. I did have two wedding dresses at my own wedding. And I feel like...
Meanwhile, I'm going to get hitched at like City Hall.
I feel like the people who ran Happy Wedding would really appreciate the fact that I had two wedding dresses. So,
I mean,
feels appropriate.
I'm not going to lie. Turbo is going to give you a run for your money.
Facts. No, it's true. He looks way better in a wedding dress than I do.
Suai Mak.
Suai, yes.
Very beautiful.
Okay, so... Before we get started, Beth Ann, tell us the nuts and the bolts.
So again, like this is one of those shows that is truly the struggle for international fans because we were so excited. KaownahTurbo were finally getting their starring roles after having like that show that got canceled, and everybody was so excited.
And they're one of those like ships where we talk about this a lot, where it's like it's a ship without a show, and like you ship it, but like you don't really know why you ship it, and it's like a whole thing,
right? They've done stuff individually but never gotten their thing together. And so it finally came out. Thank you, AIS Play.
Thank you, AIS Play.
Ironically, we of course as international fans have such a like a love-hate relationship with AIS Play because they have incredible shows, but they don't give them to us easily.
Right. It's not accessible internationally usually, but this one came out on YouTube. So nuts and the bolts of it all.
AIS Play YouTube. It's 10 episodes. The subs are decent throughout the whole thing.
I thought they were great.
There is a thing at the end that you have to work with, but again, like, and there are parts that like you don't get the music. But here, beggars can't be choosers. The show is excellent. I really loved it.
10 out of 10 even. I didn't even see those things as issues.
No.
So I don't think twice about it.
It stars, y'all, the loves of my life, because
you do love them so much.
I somehow convinced Ayla to make Tuk Tuk ads for Kaownah's birthday at 3 a.m. one day.
I was like, so I'm the designer. You can't design anything. And you were like, yeah, we're totally going to design Tuk Tuks.
And you like...
And I was like, okay.
You weren't even fans of KaownahTurbo at this point.
I mean, I knew who they were and I liked them. And I liked Kaownah. I watched, Tarn Type, right? Like, and...
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't like... They weren't like a yin war to me.
Right. Not a 3 a.m. working on a Tuk Tuk for a birthday ad kind of situation. But then we did, and this has opened Ayla's eyes.
And then Kaownah like took a picture with the Tuk Tuk I designed, and I like almost cried.
And I had a fan call with KaownahTurbo, and Kaownah recognized our podcast.
True. We say, anyways, continue.
I know we have.
This is not what this series Sunday is about.
This. It stars Kaownah as Ryu. Work with us. And Turbo as Anda.
I love Da. Okay, but before we get into why we love him, let me put on my synopsis.
I cannot even imagine what the synopsis is going to be.
It's quite long, so I hope you're ready. We're going to pretend like it's a toast.
Love it.
Anda was born to one of the most... you don't clink before a toast.
Sorry.
Oh my God, have you never been
glasses.
to a wedding before? I know you have.
I've been to like 12 weddings in 1 year.
Okay.
Yes.
Wedding etiquette, you don't clink before the door.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't realize. Yeah, that was.
Anda was born to one of the most well-known showbiz families in Thailand, but while the world waits for his debut as a new star, Anda just wants to become a distinguished manga artist and fulfill his otaku dreams. Despite being surrounded by stardom his whole life, a traumatizing experience at a commercial shoot 10 years ago forced him into an emotional recluse and eventually into the arms of his favorite fictional character, magical girl Lala Lulu. However, it turns out that he is not in the clear yet. Considering that he is far from becoming a manga artist of any sort, he joins a shooting for the sequel of the dreaded commercial from his past. What's more, his co-star from the past, who is also invited to reprise his role, is none other than the famous actor Ryu. Anda does not fancy wearing a dress again, but Ryu is eager to see the beautiful girl who captured his heart 10 years ago. How will this fateful reunion turn out?
Cheers. That's literally just the first episode.
Yeah, that was the first episode. So interesting synopsis.
Because Lala disappears after first ep. I mean, she shows up again because they have like
I was gonna say
cute
she's
little
like
concert.
So she's more of like a plot device than a person, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really love this show. Okay, again, I watched it. I watched like the first episode or two when it first came out.
Yeah.
Onto YouTube because I was so excited for it. But then just in BL world, as it goes, 100 other things come out. We have podcast stuff that we have to do. And so it kind of got put on the back burner. I was like, it'll be there. I'll get to it eventually. And like, I never did. And then we were like, let's do a series.
What happened was I was the one that was like, let's do a series Sunday for this. I really want to do a series Sunday for this show. I want to watch the show. I want to talk about the show because
you had your
I had like a turbo awakening. Not even like because I like Kaownah. I do like Kaownah a lot. I love Kaownah, but lately I was like, for some reason, like Turbo's been hitting on the socials, and I was like, yeah, all right, let's do this thing, dude. And so I was like, what if we do a Love Stage Series Sunday? And a couple people commented and they were like, do a Love Stage Series Sunday. And I was like, now's my chance.
I know, because I'm wondering if this is one of those shows that like everybody has watched, but nobody
really talks about it.
Because like you talk about the topic of the day, right? Like whatever's trending, like the Kim portion. So this is one of those things that's like, it's on the back burner.
So I will say, when I started watching this, I watched the first couple episodes and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah. It's very Japanese manga. Like, you feel it. But then it goes real Thai.
I fully watched the first couple episodes, but it wasn't about that. It wasn't about the manga or the Japanese of it all. I was just, the plot was strange to me. The whole like, he's the whole situation of like, we need to make him be a star because we're a showbiz family, and like just the plot of it all was very strange to me in the first couple episodes. And so I watched the first couple episodes and then I was like, I'll finish this later. And then I kept watching and I was like, oh my God, I actually love this show. It's so funny. Yeah. It is so funny in the exact right moments and in the exact right ways, and like not by accident. And I credit that a lot to the director. So we actually follow the director on social. And so I see her post a lot just like as herself. And she's like that, where she's like funny at all the right moments. Yeah. And she's like purposely funny. Like that's the thing, is like sometimes you'll watch these shows and it's funny, but like it's not supposed to be funny, and you're like, oh, that was funny. This is like, it's funny at all the right moments, and it's supposed to be funny, so like you don't feel bad about laughing, you don't feel like you're making fun of, because you're like, I understand this is supposed to be funny.
She makes it, and she relies heavily on the tropes, but like doesn't take the tropes seriously, right? Like we get a fall kiss, but then we get a hospitalization.
I know.
Right after.
I love this. This might be my favorite fall kiss in BL history. Yeah. Because we always talk about how like, aren't the fall kisses like unrealistic or like, don't they look uncomfortable? We talk about that a lot, is that like, that looks uncomfortable, like that looks like it would hurt. And but he like, literally loses a tooth.
Make it feel romantic. Yeah.
Like he's bleeding. He's lost a tooth. They're both are like, it's amazing.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the director is Madame Funny.
Yes.
Go follow her on social.
Yeah, she's amazing. And so that's what I love the most about the show is it's really funny. And then once the plot like kind of developed a little bit more and the characters felt a little more fleshed out, I was really on board with it because it becomes less about this whole like he needs to be in showbiz and it's more about like
their
just people
and like
not even relationship but like people and how they handle things and what they want to do and like their friends and it like
figuring things out.
I
do love I do love that Ryu has his gay awakening through BL mangas because his manager leaves the book and he's also like grappling with the fact that the girl he thought he met as a child is now a boy.
Oh, okay, I will say that was one thing and I'm sure it's in the novel, like I'm sure that's why this is a thing, but like when he like in the bath, I guess is it ep 2 or ep 3 when they're in the locker room shower and he's like rips open his shirt and he's like, why are you like this? I was like, dude,
there's some very problematic parts in this. We'll talk about the night caressing later, and there's some like really intense like just aggression in this show that like it harkens back to kind of early days BL that we feel like we've gotten past almost a little bit outside of Ken Borge, but like those are the parts where you're like, okay, like we hopefully will not romanticize this. And what I love is that there are moments where, like, especially there's that part where Bank and Ryu are having that confrontation with Anda, like in the mix, and Ryu luckily apologizes quickly thereafter, and so I do appreciate that. But the night caress,
let's just talk about the night caress. So I hate night caressing anyways.
It's so unrealistic.
I have hated night caressing. Honestly, it probably is realistic actually. Like some people probably do this.
You.
But I've always hated night caressing, and it's something that's in so many BLs, and I've always hated it.
Yeah.
And from the very first time I ever saw it happen, which was in Tarn Type, I was like, I hate this. This is weird. Like I questioned it immediately.
Right.
I was like, I hate a night caress.
I do love when you were like, Turbo needs to go to a sleep study.
Oh yeah, fully. Like I'm watching it.
Like,
So I said we were talking about this earlier, and I said my concern. Yes, I'm concerned about the night caressing. But my main concern here is that, like, I think Anda maybe needs to go to, like, a sleep study.
Because homeboy is, like...
Because, like, he's being, at one point, like, vigorously made out with, does not wake up. At one point, he, like...
do we think he's awake and he's, like, just enjoying the moment?
No, because he, like, works it into his dreams. Like, he's clearly asleep. There's another moment where Ryu, like, picks him up, like, not gently.
No.
And, like, he looks dead. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
He's a good actor.
Right. But why did he not get awoken?
Right.
And then, like, he's also in that same scene, like, pokes his face. Like, not like, but he's, like, touching, you know, like.
Right.
And he doesn't wake up to that. Like, I'm really concerned about Anda, and I think he needs to go to a sleep study. Like, something's not right here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
For all the humorous moments in this show, there were some really good emotional moments. I sobbed multiple times in this show.
Oh, really? I didn't cry once.
I did. I cried in the car when Ryu apologizes to Anda, because I did not like that moment when they are like physically kind of pulling at each other, because I don't really like that on a lot of shows where there's like that like pulling of someone, like the wrist grab that's like so popular and loved. Like I don't love those kind of things. And so when he immediately is apologetic and he's like, I'm so sorry, that was on me. I was feeling insecure about your friendship with Bank, and like I don't trust him. I don't want you with him.
Yeah.
And he apologizes.
That made you cry?
That made me cry. You know, Kaownah being like sincere and just like a wonderful actor. The other part was when Anda breaks up with Ryu.
I did almost cry at the kitchen table. I did almost cry because the look on Ryu's face when he's like, don't leave.
Oh.
And Anda gets up and he's like, don't leave.
Because he's just fixed him that meal because he's not eating because they're going through something.
They're like, they've been outed essentially. Yeah, I almost cried, and I remember thinking like I would sit back down.
Yeah.
Like if he looked at me with that face and he was like, "Don't leave me," I'd sit back down.
You know what's interesting is that you fully expect Anda to play this damsel in distress because he, you know, is set up as like the bride and like
well,
the one
also
that's being
he has the stage fright, and he's the one that like, you know, everybody helps throughout the whole series.
Right.
He is the one that's always getting the help.
But he really has his bearings,
right,
and is very grounded. Like even in that conversation that he has with his friends and with Bank, even where truly one of the best scenes in the show, where Bank is like, "Do I have a chance with you?" And Anda says,
"No." He doesn't say, "Do I have a chance with you?" Because what makes it even better is what
he's like,
Bank says. What Bank says, Bank says,
"What if I tell you?
What if I tell you I like you?" And Anda says, "I would have to say no."
I have to say no.
Just no.
I'm gonna incorporate that into my daily life.
I would have to say no.
I have to say no. And then he goes, "We're gonna be good friends. We're gonna be best friends."
Oh, I was just like, that's perfect. And then it's the shoulder grab.
He's like,
he's like, "You're gonna be okay."
Pats his shoulder, just like caressing him. It's like the awkward kiss hand that happens.
The dead hand. I call it the dead hand.
It happened a little bit in this show too. KaownahTurbo.
The dead hand thing is something that I've noticed happens to like the newer actors. The newer actors have dead hand. Yeah. So like in Tarn Type, Gulf has dead hand. Yeah. Where like it's when they're making out and the hand just like goes into rigor mortis and just like it just like sits there.
And usually it sits like mid arm.
It's like in a weird place, and it's like a death grip.
Especially when like when males and females kisses, like the females will grab a neck or like wrap their arms around them. Like the boys are just like, "I'm gonna hold you in place."
Their hands freeze into rigor mortis. That's why I call it the dead hand. And it just stays there and it doesn't move. So yeah, like in Tarn Type, Gulf had it. You see it, like I said, you see it a lot usually with newer actors that aren't used to these kinds of scenes. Like it's in You're My Sky. If you watch Boom, the San Eye scene, Boom gets a little bit of dead hand. And yeah, it's a little bit, you get it a little bit with Turbo in Love Stage, the dead hand.
It's so funny. Y'all, KaownahTurbo deserve all the shows and all, because they're acting, because I told Ayla, I was like, this show could come across as really cringy at times, but they play it so sincerely and just like you believe it so deeply. And I just love Kaownah's like facial expressions.
Yeah, I remember thinking like this show reminds me what a good actor Kaownah is, because that's what initially made me like Kaownah, because and that's kind of not the problem with KaownahTurbo, but like the deal with ships that don't have shows is that for a really long time all you ever see is them doing ship work, right?
Which is acting. I mean, they are acting,
but not in a show, not with like a plot, not with a script, not with and so like all you see is this ship work and all you see is them on social or doing lives.
Right.
And it's just different. And so I think you forget or you don't realize when they can't act, because Kaownah, when I first met Kaownah, it was before he and Turbo were shipped.
Right.
And I like
I remember you knew about their ship, because they were a ship prior to Tarn Type, because their show had been filmed and didn't get released.
But I guess they weren't doing ship work or something, because I remember looking into Kaownah back when I watched Tarn Type.
They do, because one of my favorite clips of Kaownah is him talking to Mugolf. Do you remember this?
But I wonder if it just wasn't as public, because I fully so what I started to say is I looked into Kaownah after I watched Tarn Type, because I was so impressed with his acting, because I hated Long so much, as well everyone should. But I didn't hate Kaownah. And I was like, that's the mark of a good actor, where I can really, really separate the character from the person. And so I was like, wow, this kid. And because I didn't see that twist coming. Like, I thought that he played that character so well. Like, I was so impressed with just him as an actor. And so I remember, like, I looked him up. I was like, who is this Kaownah person? I like his version of the Tarn Type song was the only one I would listen to.
Incredible.
Like, I was like pretty into Kaownah, and I like it must have been before KaownahTurbo like really kicked off with all the brand deals and all the ship work and all the exclusive, because like I didn't even know Turbo existed.
Interesting. I went the other way because when I found out about Kaownah, I immediately learned about KaownahTurbo, and there's a ton of stuff with James, the reactor from Nungnarong.
Mm-hmm.
They have so many videos of just them like hanging out and doing ship work when Kaownah was blonde the first time.
Right.
So during that, I think he went blonde right after Tarn Type.
Probably to distance himself from Long.
Yeah, for sure. And I loved when they showed up in Lovely Writer as a ship. Like they were like, this is KaownahTurbo. They're the ship that wherever they go, everybody loves them. It's like accurate.
Yeah, but so I watching Love Stage, I was like, now I remember, like it just reminds me what a good actor Kaownah is. That he's not just this like brand ambassador. He's not not just ship work.
Right.
He is like legitimately a good actor. And I was really impressed with Turbo's acting. I feel like Turbo's a fantastic actor as well. I will say, I made this comment to you and you did not agree.
Yeah.
That I think it's endearing. Keep in mind, I'm like obsessed with Turbo. Like Christina on TikTok, if you follow Christina on TikTok, you'll know who I'm talking about. She does these videos where she talks about having like an anchor in the ship, the captain of her ship, right? Yeah. Where it's like, I love the ship and I like them both individually, but like I have like a person in the ship, right? And so the captain of the ship for me is Turbo, right? Like I'm invested in the ship because of Turbo. So all of that being said, Turbo is not a beautiful crier. In fact, I likened him to Bilkin in terms of levels of crying, because we've talked before about like beautiful criers. I love him so dearly, and I actually think it's very endearing that because it means he's like really crying.
Is it because of the amount of liquid coming out of his face?
Yes. It's that, and he folds his face in on itself.
Yeah.
So there's that, and he's crying, and the amount of snot and I love him so much, and I genuinely think this is endearing. Right. So this is not a drag. I'm not reading him.
Who did that recently where they had a ton of
much snot? Like there's a scene after when they're first like outed, and he's been crying, and he's in that pink polka dot like the comic club room.
Yeah.
And he's been crying. His entire upper lip is just like slick. And I was like,
it's rough.
I was like, what PA didn't give him a tissue?
I thought his crying was okay. I think Kaownah is an excellent crier.
Kaownah's a great crier.
Because we saw him in Tarn Type.
Kaownah's a great crier for sure.
I like the tears and the snot because no offense to Smart from Don't Say No, but like he had that moment, when him and James are having their goodbye.
Yes, and he's crying.
But
he can't make the liquid come out. I think it's endearing.
It's very
but
sweet.
No, just like I think the snot is endearing too. I think it's endearing. Here's the thing. I think it's endearing when these boys have flaws because they're so perfect. They're so perfect.
It's true.
And so when there's one little itty bitty thing where you're like, it actually is it endears them more to me than if they were 100% perfect.
And speaking to that, I felt like this show felt real.
Yeah.
Like it felt like more real than a lot of shows I watched.
Like, especially the I made a comment about the family dynamic and you were like, wow, really? Because I have siblings and you don't, right? And I was like, this is really accurate in terms of like sibling dynamic and what you would talk about with your siblings versus what you would talk about with like another trusted adult, right? Like, and you were like, wow, really? Even if this? And I was like, oh, yeah. And I like explained why. And you were like, oh, that makes sense. And so like I do really like the family dynamic. Also, I remember we were talking about the mom in this show is very similar to like one of our friends' moms. And we were like, oh, that's his mom. Like we're like, she even looks like his mom a little bit. Like, so it felt very real.
So speaking to that, let's go to the side characters because the character you're talking about is Jed, who plays the family manager, who, shocking, spoiler alert, is also dating T
the older brother.
But what I love about the dynamic between these three is that Jed is very much the confidant that Anda goes to.
Yes.
And T is very much the protective, goofy older brother who's like the rock star.
I think he's being a dick most of the time, honestly.
I loved him. I thought he listen, after that La Cuisine brother, anybody's
better than him.
There's no weird sexual tension between him and his brother in this
situation. He was kind of famous, and he never pretended like he was dating his brother to protect him.
I love Jed. I love
Jed.
I love the reveal of also Jed and T's relationship, because they just start being affectionate, and it just kind of happens, and you're like, oh, because T is flirting with Jed the entire first half of the show,
right? Like,
and you're
when he pours that water bottle on himself, I was like,
yeah,
sir.
It was really funny. So I like their relationship. I thought that Jed's dynamic with everybody, and it also felt to me like everybody in the family knows, but nobody talks about it because, like, why do we need to be involved in their relationship kind of thing?
What I like about it is I actually get the opposite vibe, that like they might not know, but like they don't really care, because like you see the moment when Anda realizes. It's when they're at the beach and he turns around because he notices Ryu noticing them.
Okay.
And he turns around and he's like starting to watch it, and then he turns to Ryu and he like makes these eyes. And you can tell he's realized that like they're dating. And because now he's in this situation where he's with a boy that he's on a date with, and he's like, oh, I get it now. And then of course he has the conversation with Ryu about where he says like, well, have you ever slept with a man?
Right.
Or not with Ryu. He has a conversation with Jed.
He's like, how would you know?
He's like, have you ever slept with a man? And Jed is like, well. And then they start talking, and he's asking him all these questions, and like it's a really nice conversation.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, this show is also very beautifully filmed. So y'all know we don't really talk the love scenes that often, but the way that these love scenes were filmed was super tasteful.
Right.
Also, like the conversation around, like the conversation that they have where he's like, but aren't you scared? Like, this is my first time. Like, that whole conversation was like really nice, and it was a really cool form of like consent.
When he said, when Ryu, played by Turbo or played by Kaownah, says, I'm scared, but when I look into your eyes, it's okay.
Yeah, when he's like, I'm scared too, but anytime I'm scared, I'll just look back into your eyes. I mean, it's a really cool conversation around consent. And I think it's a really cool example to show that like you can have like an active consent conversation without it being like, are you sure you want me to like
also
do this?
The first time that they start making out, and
the first time with consent, because remember, this whole sleep making out thing actually is a big
when they're like
when
they're like actually in a relationship and they're at that resort, and Anda is fully straddling Ryu, and he's like, I'm not ready, and he's like, okay.
The use of the word straddle was really,
that's what he was doing.
Why? I almost used the word penetrate earlier, and I chose not to, and then you throw in straddle. No.
It was just such a sweet moment of like, and then they after that scene, he's like, I'll wait until you are ready. Like, it's fine. I am here to wait for you.
Right. And then, well, I mean, like, I think kind of the best part is like they're also interrupted by the knock at the door.
True.
Which is like feels on brand.
The funniest part of that scene is that by the time Ryu leaves Anda on the bed and he's not under the covers, he's gotten to the door and he opens the door, and you get that look back at Anda on the bed. He has the blanket pulled up as though he's like fully undressed and nothing. Like, he left him just sitting on the bed, but he's somehow gotten himself under the covers.
Well, because no, this makes sense to me, because he's opening the door. It could be anyone, and he doesn't want anyone to see his titties.
I guess so. Even though, never mind. I was gonna say something scandalous.
He doesn't want anyone to see his titties, so he's
like, the all the locations for this show, like the houses look amazing.
Yeah, the Synopsis Cafe looks awesome.
Yes.
Love the resort in Pattaya that they go to.
We love a beach frolic.
So we get multiple beach frolics in this show, which is like 10 out of 10.
Beautiful.
Multiple beach frolics. Yeah. I will say I do love can we talk about like the sausage breakfast?
I know, who would want to eat in a pool?
Also, who would want to? Do people actually eat those sausages?
I think so. People love sausage. I don't love sausage in America. Like any type of sausage. I don't mind the like ball sausage on pizza, but like link sausage, I don't like any of it.
So why are you specifying in America? Have you had like other?
I'm talking those like tube sausages
yeah,
that they
those
get.
seem worse to me than like link sausage.
Yeah, for some reason I don't. I've never had the sausage that I feel like I saw in Korea.
I don't really like hot dogs either, though.
Oh, I like hot dogs. Maybe it's the same.
That's what it looks like to me. It looks like you're eating like just like a little cold hot dog. Like, why would you want that?
Or like a boiled hot dog.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want that because it would be cold.
Well, I imagine if it's like with breakfast, it's warm. That's what my thought process was.
I still don't understand why you would want to eat just like a raw ass like hot dog. Like I can't understand. I don't eat hot dogs I don't eat hot dogs. So I don't like that. So
So moving on. The other character that you and I had very different feelings about was Bank. So
he trifling.
I had no problem with Bank.
I had a problem with Bank from the very first introduction of him when Anda doesn't know the answer the first time and he like raises his hand and he's like, it's this answer. I was like,
well, they also develop that he helps out Anda because Anda's never paying attention in class because he's always drawing. And after that, he's like, thank you so much for answering. Like, I didn't know the answer. And then when he gets called on again and he looks over at Bank and Bank is like, I know the answer. Like, it seems like that's their dynamic of like,
I still don't like it. I was also, like, I don't like him. He's trifling. And he stayed trifling.
But he did take responsibility for the pictures that he was not responsible for. His manager was responsible for those photos. And he was like, because it was his manager, he was like, me and my manager release the photos. And he did try to like cover up the tracks to be like they're edited in case they wanted an out.
Well, but no, what he was doing with that, first of all, it wasn't his place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, what he was doing is basically saying like, yes, what they are doing in those pictures is shameful.
Right. Yeah.
And I take issue with that. Right. I take full issue with that. Also, he's gallivanting around with another man's man on his phone screensaver.
Oh yeah, that was
and
ridiculous.
Especially after there's been like a confrontation of like no, they're dating.
Yeah.
Like get over it. Like how many times is he going to have to subtly be like, I'm not into you, like I'm dating someone else, like I'm really into him, before you get the picture and move on?
I find
trifling.
Anda as a character who had zero clue that Bank liked him.
Trifling.
I feel like until that conversation where he was like, I like you, and Anda was like, I'm gonna have to say no. And then he became like a cool friend.
No, he didn't. He was trifling.
And the manager
because what he should have done was called Anda or texted Anda and been like, hey, here's what I'm gonna do. If he was a cool friend.
Yeah,
if he wasn't trying to like,
that's too healthy of communication.
Not a fan of Bank. No. Jed though, so I think one of my favorite scenes in the whole show was at the very end, Ep 9, Part 4. This shirtless music video situation. So stupid. But
Ep 10.
Ep 10, sorry. Yeah. Part 4. Ep 10. They're filming it on a phone, and I was like, are they filming this on a phone? And then it flashes to Jed, and Jed is the one filming it. And he just looks so cute and so proud of his boyfriend and is the cutest scene. And I almost cried.
I hope that man is getting paid all the money because he's having to deal with the brother. He's dating the brother. He's dating T. He's managing his band, apparently.
Right.
He's the emotional support for Anda.
He's also their driver.
Yeah.
I don't know that the parents are psychotic. They're funny.
The dad is hilarious because he was playing matchmaker.
Right.
Because you find out he was the one that took out the kissing storyboard.
Right.
Like it was in the script for the wedding.
Well,
thing.
I realized that you interpreted that as him being like, oh, I want them to kiss. But I interpreted it as like he too was being trifling. Because the mom brings up, like, Anda's not going to be okay with this. He's not going to do this.
Yeah.
And the dad was like, he's going to do it whether he wants to or not.
Right.
So it wasn't about him playing matchmaker is how I interpreted it. It was more about him being like,
they want him
he's
going
to do this.
Yeah.
I want him to do this. And if he sees the storyboard, he's going to say no.
Yeah, okay.
Because the mom is like, oh, are you sure Anda's going to do this?
Yeah. True. Yeah, because they, like, weirdly want him to embrace some kind of like
a
acting.
showbiz life.
I'm like,
because they're a showbiz family.
He's artsy. He has his drawing.
But they want him to be in showbiz.
I do love this whole like he can't sing thing.
I know.
It is it's pretty cute. Because we know Turbo can
sing.
Speaking of, the only OST that I'm really glad Jeff Satter did not do.
But imagine if Jeff did a cover of this. Jeff.
Acceptable. Because this song, I love the stage song.
Because it's just the High School Musical song.
Yes.
Literally every time it starts, I'll like as soon as it starts, I'll be like, "You are the music in me." Fully.
I love that song.
It's a great song, but like, yeah, it's just High School Musical.
KaownahTurbo. I was obsessed with this song since like the day it came out.
I love this song when it came out. I was into it.
I just also go stream so good because KaownahTurbo.
Because KaownahTurbo.
So good.
Just like do all the things because KaownahTurbo.
I know. I'm so sad that we don't have access to Sineha stories because it looks amazing. And
AIS Play, put it on YouTube. We know you can do it.
We need to have a conversation with AIS Play.
Put it on YouTube. We know you do it.
And Kaownah's going to be in a new show with Max on like Thai PBS, like is what I've gathered. I like did some research because I was like, why are Max and Kaownah together so much? And I feel like it's some kind of new TV show.
This is a great show. 10 out of 10 I recommend. It was funny in all the right ways. It was serious in all the right ways. It was like, it's a good plot. The first couple episodes I was like, is this too weird for me? But then it wasn't too weird for me. 0 out of 10 stars for the night makeout.
Yeah. The non-consent.
But 100 out of 10 stars for the consent conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, this show is a highly recommend.
Watch it. It's 10 episodes. It's on YouTube. It's so easy. This is an amazing show.
Yeah.
Fully.
I loved all the friends too.
Oh, the little curly-haired friend. I do not know his name.
They were very
But
cute.
He's the cutest boy I ever saw in my whole life. Like if they ever made like a season 2 of Cute Boy Thailand, I'd somehow nominate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if this show gets more views on YouTube, I wonder if that would encourage AIS Play
to put more stuff on YouTube.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I would wonder. Maybe we should send an email to AIS Play, be like, hey. What's it going to take to get your shows
on the YouTube?
On the YouTube in the States.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yes.
Number 1, Rycan FanCon.
Rycan FanCon.
We're going to be there.
We are.
You should live stream so that you can see us act in a full, or you might not see us acting.
You're not going to see us, but you'll hear us.
You'll hear us.
I'll pull like an off drum pull at the polka fan meet where I'll just be like, ah!
Yeah. Truly. Second of all, go get merch.
Yes.
It's about to be.
In season 3, we are dropping new merch, and therefore the merch that's in there, some of those pieces will be discontinued. So if you like any of those pieces, go buy them now because season 3 merch is going to be interesting.
You'll have no idea. Also, it's almost July, y'all.
It's true.
Wild.
And last but not least, be our gang, baby.
Yes. We now have a YouTube membership. You guys have asked for reactions. We're doing live reactions.
We did our first one to Kim Porsche episode 12. We had some hiccups. We are learning. We're making it better. So this Saturday we'll be back again with episode 13, Kim Porsche live stream reaction, chit-chatting with all of you in the chat. Shout out Becky, who was chatting with us the whole time. That was super fun. Let's do it again. It's $4.99 a month. All you have to do is head over to youtube.com/Let's Talk BL. Do it on a desktop or a laptop, then click memberships, then click join, and then you'll be our gang baby.
Do it.
We'll also be doing some exclusive giveaways. You might get a piece of new season 3 merch, like early kind of situation.
With maybe a little extra something on it. You never know.
So, like, I don't know. Yeah.
This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.
See you next time.